Welcome to Goalie Science, the podcast that bridges the gap between goaltending, science, and peak performance. I'm your host, Jamie Phillips, a former professional goalie, currently pursuing a doctorate in physical therapy and specializing in goalie performance coaching. Joining me as always is Dr. Ben Cernick, a seasoned goalie coach and sports analytics specialist. Whether you find yourself at home, on the road, or at the rink, grab a cup of your favorite beverage and let's drop the puck on this week's episode. Hello everybody, it is Jamie. I'm flying solo today. I know we've had a lot of solo back and forth episodes, but it is a super busy time for us. Ben is incredibly important. I think everyone should go and wish Ben a congratulations because he purchased a house. This is the text I got him when I wanted to do today's episode, that 3 project deadlines, bought a house, finished a degree, started 2 new jobs, started a new degree, and he has been coaching. So Ben is busy, so I decided that for the first time in a long time, I'm not the most busy one here, so I'm going to do the episode today. What I like to do when I do the solo episodes is a lot of them answer Q&As. I think that can be valuable, especially here as we're compiling a lot of pretty cool guests this summer. Let's just say that, leave it at that. I like to keep everything kind of a surprise. Just appreciate everyone for listening, but let's get after it. So with the off season being here for a lot of goalies and being around the corner for others, let's talk about the off season and let's answer some off season training. And let's start with the first one is, Jamie, what goalie specific training should I be doing? And if you can't tell by the tone of my voice, I'm putting goalie specific into quotation marks. And so why I put in quotation marks is this. We're trying to be the best athletes that we can be. On the ice, we're trying to be the best goalies we can be. In the gym, we're trying to be the best athletes. When we look at the demands of our positions, speed, power, mobility, agility, cognitive processing, not really a physical attribute. However, I could see the argument go either way. When we look at that, those skills that make up a goalie, we need to figure out what is the best way to develop them. And where a lot of things get lost in the weeds is, and it's more of an older mindset where it's like, okay, we have this position, so being a goalie, it's unique, pretty demanding, I don't think there's nothing else like it in the world. So if we take those positions and we load them or we train them, that is how we are going to get better. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. Now, doing something is always going to be better than doing nothing. However, how can we be the most efficient with our time and resources is really what it comes down to. So let's just talk about, let's just say like explosive power or power development. That is the rate of simply the rate of muscle contraction. How quickly can you contract your muscles and how much force can you contract those muscles with? And so we look at, what are different ways to improve that? And we know that the speed, okay, so it has to be explosive. And 2, the loading, the amount of motor units that we can recruit at one given time. And so we look at the tons and tons of literature and the applied sciences in terms of how do we improve these things. And then it comes down to simple, not simple, but just basic training principles, getting stronger, lifting heavy weights or heavy relative weights, or lifting loads at maximal velocity. Then we look at what exercise we can do, things that are like power cleans, different Olympic lifts, modified Olympic lifts, anything where we're loading the body safely in a progressive way to develop that strength. Yet, then if we look at, say, let's make it sport specific, the problem is that being a goalie is a lot of these positions are very delicate, to say in a way, meaning, the butterfly position, the half split position. These are positions that we do on a day-to-day that aren't necessarily that great for our body. And this is just one of those things that you have to accept as a goalie, is that, it's not the greatest position for body. Just like when a pitcher, there is a reason there are pitch counts in Little League baseball. And there's a reason why major league teams carry so many pitchers and they only pitch so many games. It's because it's damaging to your body to throw the ball at that high velocity. To be able to accelerate and decelerate a joint that quickly can cause problems, and it does for a lot of people. There's a reason why Tommy John surgeries are so prevalent even now among youth. And then we relate that back to goalies. Like, I wish there was a number of different, let's just say, arthroscopic hip surgeries. Can be anything from replacements to resurfacing to redoing labrums, or improve, or anything when it comes to any sort of FAI or hip impingement, anything where you're going under the knife for your hips. That number among youth athletes, I can't put a number on it, but it has to have skyrocketed. And anecdotally, it is high because I know about 4 or 5 kids under the age of 18 who have gone through something like that. And then when I was younger, that wasn't the case. Now, maybe that was because everyone was playing through pain, but who knows? So when we take a position that we're vulnerable in, and then we load it, there's a few things that go wrong. The first is, one, we're loading in a dangerous position, one where the goal should be, how can we strengthen and create resiliency for our joints in those positions? And a lot of times it's strengthening the opposite muscles. So we'll say one muscle is engaging and then one is relaxing, making sure that those muscles can support the joint throughout. The ones not only that are contracting, but the ones that are relaxing. Second part is if we are in these positions, and oftentimes they're at end range, meaning that our muscles are near or at maximum stretch, it's very difficult for us to develop adequate power in those positions. Essentially put, when you are looking at a muscle, it's at its strongest point at mid-range. So when it's at its most shortened, it's not as strong. And when it's at its most lengthened, it's not as strong. It's like the Goldilocks. You want to find that middle ground. So by taking these goalie positions and trying to make something explosive at end range, you're just leaving progress on the table, because you're not going to be able to contract your muscles at the speed, at that strength that you want, and that you can progress to get stronger. So when it comes to the gym, if you train general physical attributes, so like having stronger legs, yes, goalies have to have lateral leg strength. They also have to have, sagittal plane, so moving forward and backwards, rotational strength. Training all these and getting stronger, getting more explosive, improving them through a full range of motion is going to make you a better athlete. Then when you hop on the ice, that's when you can take those quote unquote gains that you made, or the progress in the gym, and then you can apply it to your position. And the thing is our body is super adaptable. It will respond to the demands you place on it. Now, sometimes people will say, well, I worked out all summer and I hopped on the ice and I was super stiff. Well, if you work out for 4 or 5 months and you don't hop on the ice, your body is going to adapt to the demands you put on, the training load. And then when you hop on the ice, it's going to feel foreign. Now, that doesn't mean that was necessarily bad, but if you are stronger, if you are more flexible, if you are more agile, yeah, it might take a couple skates for that to translate over, but it will translate. However, if you say you skate once or twice a week throughout the entire summer, now you're taking that progress and all the skills you're working on in the gym, and you are now applying it to your position. And hopefully your training on the ice is also designed in a way that's periodized, so meaning it's like structured with your off-ice training, so that you can continue to develop and so you can grow. And that's why, like, when it comes to goalie-specific training, you leave a lot on the table. Ultimately, you leave a lot on the table versus just training and being an athlete. And so that's kind of the long and the short of it. The next question is running. I actually get this question a lot. And so again, for goalies, it says, should I run? there is no problem with running. Do you need to be on the cross-country team? No, absolutely not. But if you enjoy running and you want to run, go run. Now, it's important that we're strong at all different energy systems. So we have, I'll just put it in in the most simple terms. I won't get too sciencey with it. So we have like our super fast twitch, then we have kind of like our medium energy system, and then we have our long duration system. And throughout the course of an entire game, you're using all three. Because the game or practice is long, it's at least over 5 minutes, you're going to be tapping into some of your aerobic system. So your ability to use your aerobic, yes, your ability to use oxygen and perform. You're also going to tap into your anaerobic systems, your phosphocreatine and your glycolytic system, and your ability to contract and create ATP or adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy of our body, and to create that without oxygen. And so it's important that you train all of them. Now, for me personally, if given the choice between, Jamie, you're writing a program, and shameless plug, I write a lot of goalie training programs. If you want to check them out, go to elitegoaliemethod.com. They're there. They're everything you need. You just follow it. You can't make a mistake. It's got mobility, strength training, everything. But when I'm writing a program, I can choose between, setting up my aerobic work that is slightly more position specific versus generalized. And so for me, when I write it, it is in different it's periodized. So at the start of a training block, or at the start of summer, the goal is GPP, or general physical preparedness. That is moving in non-specific ways to your sport, just getting stronger, and typically it's building some muscle size and a little bit of muscle strength. And with that, it's also important to build up your capillaries. So if you're building up new muscle, you want to be able to funnel oxygen to that tissue. And so I'll often have low steady state cardio, whether that's riding a bike, going for a jog, rowing, skier, anything like that, even elliptical, anything like that for like 20, 30 minutes, a couple times a week. And this is just light heart rate stuff. Then as the training block progresses and the summer progresses, now I'm a big fan of interval work, things like running 200s, 300, 800s, things that where we can train multiple systems and build up some of that lactate threshold. So that ability to, ability to buffer lactate and kind of prevent that, that lactic acid buildup that you feel in your legs and they get tired and heavy. The more that we can prevent that, the longer you're going to be able to, say, hold your stance, killing a power play or anything like that. So the conditioning and cardio is very specified when I write a program. It's specified to your training phase. It's specified to your positional needs. But that being said, if you just want to go for a jog, just go for a jog. Like we end up getting, and I was like this too, we end up getting so fixated on like, is this one run going to help me be a goalie? Or if I just go for a run. You want to go run, go for a run. Who cares? If you're going to go for a run and it's going to fatigue you, and because you're fatigued, you're going to have a crappy training session, then yeah, maybe don't go for a run. But if it's a Saturday and you're bored and you feel good and you just want to go run 5K, sure. Just go run, and just make sure you recover adequately. You get those calories in. You do what you need to do to fuel your body to perform. But it's not going to hurt you. Is it necessarily going to help you? Well, one run, no. But if your cardio is an area of weakness, and we add in a little bit of running to your program, and it no longer becomes a weakness, then overall it helps. So an individualized approach is good. Running, nothing wrong with it. I do prefer, if someone just throw a blanket statement here, because why not? I would prefer running 200, 400s, 800 intervals, like interval runs, versus just going for a jog. But there is a tremendous amount of benefit in both. Next question here. What training mistakes did you make growing up? I made all the mistakes that everyone made. The first is just buying into the sport specific training. The funny thing is I had so many good trainers that told me like, oh, don't, like told me exactly what I just told you at the start. And I didn't listen because I thought I knew better and I didn't. And that's the thing. But also I made those mistakes. The reason I've gone to school for so long and all these certifications, et cetera, so that I can help you, the listener, the viewer, try to not make those mistakes. But ultimately, the biggest mistake I made was I didn't recover as hard as I trained. Now, when I look at myself as a goalie, like I wasn't the most athletic. I was an average pro skater. I had below average mobility. Yet I was still successful, still played in the American League, still called up to the NHL. My best attributes were, I don't know if they're how trainable they are, but it basically my ability to read the play and my instincts and just like general puck saving ability. I was good at stopping pucks. How I got there might not have been the prettiest or the cleanest, but I was able to do it. And one of the reasons that I was able to be so successful is because I worked incredibly hard. And I can look back at that and everyone looks back and they're like, oh yeah, I worked hard. I look back knowing what I know now, and I did too much relative to the recovering I would do. So I don't ever want to say like, stop working hard, because everyone can push themselves to like a different level. And for the most part, everyone thinks they're working hard and they think they probably can work harder. And I say that too. And that's what I believed when I was training. But now hindsight being what it is, I just didn't take recovery serious enough. And if I could go back in time, I would just tell myself, hey, look, like working out 3 times a day isn't going to get you better. Working out once and having great recovery is going to make significantly more progress, give you significantly more progress than training 3 times. Like I was of the mind that if you just train, you're going to get better. I just didn't I thought that, you like recovery and overtraining is a myth. They are definitely not myths. And so I made those mistakes and I overtrained like crazy. And that was just, the mistake I made. So I left a lot of progress on the table if I just recovered properly. And that's going to bring me into my next topic, is recovery. Now, when it comes to recovery, everyone has this idea that recovery is like Normasac boots or like compression boots, massage guns, ice baths, saunas, cupping, everything, blah, blah, blah. And those have a place in recovery. Absolutely. I own a pair of recovery boots. The clinic that I'm setting up, free front of the little chat, is going to have a recovery center. But those modalities, and that's what their modalities are, they're supplements. They are things to add on once you've created that baseline foundation that will allow you to be 1, 2, 3% better. But if you're looking at the recovery pie, like a pie chart being 100%, if the big 3 of sleep, nutrition, hydration they make up, let's just say, the 80 to 90% of that pie, and then all the other modalities make up that last, let's just say 10%, would you rather focus on the 10% or would you rather focus on the 90%? Focus on the 90%. And then if you have time or additional resources, then those modalities can be helpful. And, for me, as I'm recording this on the 30th of April, on the 3rd, when I am Dr. J. Phillips, recovery protocols are things I'm going to put in place for my athletes. But that is only if they have the basics covered, because otherwise you're just putting a cork in a sinking ship. You need to have all those other things in line first. Actually, another question I got that I thought was pretty good was, Jamie, I have a little bit of extra money this summer, which is good for you. I'm looking at buying massage gun or compression boots. Which one would you suggest? And the thing that I would suggest the most, honestly, and it wasn't on them, is I would suggest an air conditioner. Because if we look at the research, and this is one of those ones where it's not debatable, that there is a positive benefit to sleeping in like climate controlled rooms. And I believe it is 68. 68 is kind of like the golden temperature in Fahrenheit. I think that's 16 in Celsius. Just give me 1 second. That is 20 Celsius. So anything around 20 Celsius or below, or 68 and below, seems to be kind of like that perfect melting point. I did use that pun completely unintentionally. Perfect sort of point for sleeping. And so you'd be surprised how many people are sleeping in like warm beds or all these things and struggle to sleep in the summertime. And I can tell you, I live in a second floor apartment. It is hot. Outside, it is 64. And inside, it feels like 80 degrees. But having an AC unit in the bedroom helps cool things off, allows me to get a good night's sleep. That was one of the non-negotiable things that I had to invest in, because the sleep is going to do so much more for you than recovery boots and massage guns ever will. And it looks cool on the internet. I know no one wants to talk about their sleep on the internet. Everyone wants to just take Snapchats of their compression boots. And I'm guilty of it too. But you have to make sure that you're getting a good night's sleep. So investing in a proper mattress, air conditioner, or climate controlled room. You don't need one of these fancy climate controlled beds. If you have the resources for it, sure. And it helps, sure. But making sure like you have proper pillows, memory foam, however you like to sleep. I would put all that money that you would looking to spend on other modalities into sleep. It's as simple as that. Find different ways to sleep. Maybe it's nasal strips, something to open up your nose, anything like that. Then the last question here, because I always, when I do these solo podcasts, I always feel like I'm rambling, and I always forget to start my timer, so I know how long I'm going. But the last question is agility drills. So agility is an important thing here. So agility itself is when there is some sort of physical output to a cognitive input, meaning say you are jogging forward and someone yells left and you have to shuffle left. That ability to hear or see whatever that input is, or feel or smell that input, and your brain processes it, and then you have to be able to create that output. That is agility. Just going through, say, like a speed ladder and going 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That is speed. You are trying to contract those muscle fibers as quickly as possible. It's not really about the force of contraction, because that's power, or we're looking at the speed of contractions. We're trying to get them faster. That is not agility. Agility, which I find is more valuable overall for goalies, because we are a reactive position. We are reacting to shots and passes and what the forwards are doing, all these different things in our skating ability. We are reacting to these. So if we can improve our body's ability to react to stimuli with a fast output, that is the goal. And you can do this in many different ways, whether this is using fancy things like blaze pods, having a partner or one of your parents or your siblings just point a different direction. You have to shuffle there. Setting up a triangle with cones and someone yells red, or like 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1. Sorry, that's 4. That would be a square. And they're yelling random numbers, and you have to shuffle or sprint forward or backpedal towards it. That is training your agility. Training your speed, super important, but you can kind of kill two birds with one stone by making sure that you are reacting to some sort of stimuli very quickly. And you can even go on the internet, and there are different videos where the video will yell out a random number or a random color that you can react to. So even if you're training by yourself and you have absolutely no one, there are tons and tons of things you can do. Once again, you got to make sure that you can kind of do those almost at any time throughout an off season. I usually like to do it more to the mid towards the end when I'm really focused on that explosive power. And that's when we hammer home a lot of agility stuff. Just that way we can take advantage of the whole off season. Because if you only get like four good months of training, because I know a lot of people, much to my chagrin, don't train in season as much as they should. But if you have 4 solid months in the off season, take advantage of that. Try to add some size, strength, and have like a really good, proper periodized program. So that's it for the questions. Quick episode today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We have a lot of special guests coming in. I know Ben has already had 3 lined up. I had 1 email back today. I'm excited about that. If there's anyone you think that would be good to have on the podcast, always shoot us a message and we'll do what we can to get them on. Ben's not here to plug Patreon, but to those that support me on Patreon, thank you very much. If you are a goalie and you're looking for off-season training and you have no idea what you're doing and you want to take the guesswork out of it, go to elitegoaliemethod.com, go to the off-ice program tab. Everything is there. You follow along. It's app-based. I set it up in a way so it has everything from mobility to strength to explosive power to agility to conditioning, so that if you just follow it, you're going to have probably one of the best off seasons of your life. So thanks for listening, everyone. I appreciate you and talk to you next time.